Good evening and welcome. Chris Upton in the house. Jesus Christ, it's dark in here. Put that light on. That's better. Thank Christ for that. I couldn't see you across the room, darling. And I need to look at your eyes and see what sort of mood you're in. What have you got there? Nuts?
Yeah.
Biscuits? What are you eating now? What have you got? Oh, Ritz crackers. We're having Ritz crackers for tea. We're struggling at the moment. Okay, so good evening. Bit of a funny start, really, wasn't it? We're just waiting for people to come in. I've got 22 people in here. 5 thumbs up, and we've only told you what we're having for tea. Good evening, Bruce, first in the house, honestly. Phil Watkins, good evening. Christopher, good evening. Angela Mead, good evening to you. And Paul Crocker, good evening. Okay, what are we going to talk about this week? Fricking Kennel Club. Do you want to talk about the Kennel Club? Calm down, Chris. Have a whiskey. Have a whiskey. So we're doing a quiz tonight. We're doing a little bit of a quiz tonight. I'm going to ask some questions. I'm going to ask you people some questions. And Susie Two Shoes is going to keep an eye on everything and see who's the winner. She's going to read out a winner. She's going to moderate, evaluate, and stimulate. And that's where we're going tonight. So we just need a few people in the house first before we start, else it's not fair. Some of you will have the answers and some of you won't. So we've got to let a few people in the house first. We've got 25 people in here now and 9 thumbs up. Obviously, you're looking forward to a bit of a quiz. So shall we talk about the Kennel Club, shall we? Paul Crocker says, nice shout out about the Kennel Club. What a bunch of Barcelonian bargain hunters. A bunch of lying hypocrites. Absolutely disgraceful. DEFRA should hang their heads in shame. Do you know when the DEFRA science-based look at the e-collar was, don't you? It's when that Michael Gove, remember him? That little short midget who tried to shit on everybody? It's when he was in office and he had people in high places who were friends who wanted to get the e-collar banned. And at the end of the day, they did a research into it. It's absolutely flawed from start to finish. I'm not actually seeing anybody's comments on here. Can you see comments here? All I've got is Paul Crocker. Nice shout out about the Kennel Club. That's the only one I've got. Are we not seeing anybody's comments? Seems a bit strange. We've got 37 people in the house and
I've got
what? You've got them?
Yeah.
What, you've got everybody's comments?
Well, 1203, 803, 803.
Who was the last person to make a comment, sir?
We got Piers in the house, and then you've got Stephen Webb.
Right.
Sean, hello.
So I can't see.
And then Andrew Steed, the wonder shooting is in the shit.
Right. I can't see. I can't see it. That's great. What a great start to the evening, everybody. So it says Chris Upton live here. Right, so I've had it says Chris Upton live here. Right, so I've had it says Chris Upton live here. Right, okay. So I can at least see your comments. Thanks very much indeed. Hello, Sean. Hello, Andy Stead. Hello, Pierre. Nice to see you in the house. Not the tables, Carlos. Frank Casey, Denver Skinner. Jay Brooker, good evening. Looked good up on the moors the other day. What, me or the dogs, Jay? Yep. Yeah, he loved it up there. He had great fun up there. I went up there looking for sheep. Not that I'm into sheep, but looking for sheep for your dog. Simple as that. Went up there looking for sheep for your dog. And that's what I was looking for. So anyway, like I said, I was going to do a quiz tonight, but I don't know if I can do it with this, with everything not working. And I don't know if I want to refresh. I don't know if I want to refresh this page just in case we can't get back on there. So I've just said. And I've sent that through, and I can't understand why Live chat. What does it say here? Pop out chat. What the hell is a pop out chat? Oh my God, something's happened. Oh, got you here. Pop out chat. I don't know what that means. Restore chat. Can we have Sue instead? Don't be rude, Steve. Oh, by the way, Steve. What do you mean, can we have Sue instead? Of course you can have Sue. No problem at all. There you go, look. Steve Webb, thank you very much indeed. It's going down very, very well. Jonathan Wakefield, good evening, Chris. Sue Stephen, no. There you go, look. She says no. Richard, not David Collis. Sean Raymond, good evening. No wonder shooting is in the shit. Why, Andy? Why is shooting in the shit? Hey, tell me. Well done, Sue. What the hell has Sue done? That's what Pierre says. Well done, Sue. What have you been up to in the background?
Oh, perhaps because I can read it. I don't know.
That's because she can read it. You can manipulate any statistics to give the answers if you want. Already as a perceived bias. Okay, that's exactly right. Exactly right. So let's ask you a question. Science said to us that we only use 10% of our brain. Is that correct or not? Some of us. Some of us haven't got a brain. So that's the first question. So is that correct or not? Irish footballer, no. Well, there you go. Subjective. Oh, subjective. Why is it subjective? At the end of the day, if science says that we only use 10% of our brain, and that's what the scientists come up with, and now they've re-looked at it all and worked out that no, we use all parts of our brain, but sometimes our brain is sitting in the background working in different parts. Simon Spruce, I don't use any of mine apparently. I'm talking about DEFRA. Andy Stead. Yeah, but DEFRA is as a joke, Andy. You're right. You're dead right. And that's the problem, isn't it? The survey was done by DEFRA. Then when you read into the survey, it wasn't completed because they couldn't find enough dogs. They said that 4 out of the 5 dogs, I think something like that, made a noise when they put the collar on them. They were salivating and they were showing signs of distress. Well, if you do it the way we show you, you don't get that, do you? It says that the dogs were making a noise, and it showed that the dogs were uncomfortable by using the e-collar. Well, that's exactly the same as saying you shouldn't punish a dog. How do you know that it works if you've never punished a dog and you've not worked it out and you've not tried it? How would you know? Listening to science. There's too many people listening to science. 1 minute we were told to wear face masks, weren't we? And then we were told don't wear face masks because face masks do nothing for you. Now every country in the world is telling everyone to wear face masks. Well, someone doesn't know what they're doing, do they? If that's science, then I'm sorry, but science is flawed. And what is science? Science is only theory until proven. So the scientists said that we only use 10% of our brain. The fact has been so often repeated that most people don't even question it anymore, thereby demonstrating that it may be true. However, even at moments considered should demonstrate what facility is this ideal. The brain is a magnificent organ. Yeah, talk about organs. We're going to be talking about one of these in a minute. One of these. I'll get to that in a minute. Behave yourselves. Right. So what I want to say is let's look at science. Let's look at science. Who was it who told us that the world was flat and you'd fall off the end if you went out sailing over there? Scientists. Scientists said don't go out there because you'll fall off the end of the world. Well, I had a Pakistani called James, and it's recorded on here. And for some reason, they've got my mobile phone, and they keep ringing me about me having an accident. They keep saying I've had an accident. I've got so fed up with them. I'm playing them now. So they come on the phone 3 times a week, and they said, you've had an accident. Have you claimed any injuries? No. When was your accident? 2 days ago. Could you tell me about the accident? I've got fed up with saying I never had no accident. I don't know how you got my phone number. You've got idiots that still think the world is flat. Exactly. Of course you have. And that's the whole point. And that's the whole point with everything when it comes down to science. You can't believe everything that science says. So anyway, this Indian guy, he says to me, could you tell me a little bit about the accident? What happened? I said, I was in an aeroplane and I fell out of the aeroplane without a parachute and missed the world. And he said to me, have you got any injuries? Have you got any injuries? When did it happen? I said, I just told you 2 days ago. And this is the problem, innit? You get idiots non-stop giving you grief. Is that a rolling pin? Observation skills there, Simon. You've ruined it now for everybody else, because I needed you to all use your imagination. I needed you to use your imagination when we got onto this. Should we go on to this before we go on to anything else? Because obviously Simon is getting very excited. Okay, so this in the wrong hands is a lethal tool, isn't it? But in the hands of the delicate wife, when she's making a pie topping, she looks quite sexy with all that dust all over her, that white dust, and rolling the pie topping out with this, doesn't she? But what I want to say is this can be used for many a thing, can't it? We all know that, don't we? She's going, where are you going? Don't go there. No, behave yourselves. So let's go back to Pompeii. Let's go back to Rome, Roman times in Pompeii. And when they uncovered Pompeii and they started peeling back the dust, the volcanic dust and that, on all the buildings of anybody with any grandeur, any power, they had statues of what? Anybody can answer that question? In hands of the wife, it's still an evil tool. Totally agree with you. Sexist lad. Stephen Logan, sexist lad. Kitchen towel holder. Kitchen towel holder.
But Richard said.
Richard Gold.
Richard Gere said that talking about the dogs and the electric collars, and he said probably with pet ones, and that's probably what they were, wasn't it?
Well, we're going to get there, Richard. Darwin was wrong about many a thing, wasn't he? Darwin was wrong about many a thing. And that's the problem with science. Science is forever changing when we find new science that proves that old science wasn't correct. So a phallus. Well done, Stephen Logan. I was waiting for someone. Columns. Yeah, Romans had columns. Yes, they had swords, naked state statues. They had phallus symbols of erect penises on all the buildings. Simple as that. My wife doesn't even know what one of those are. Christina, what, a rolling pin or erect penis? Stop it, Chris. This is supposed to be a child-friendly zone, right? So be careful here. Now, if the snowflakes don't like it, they can fuck off, right? But we're talking about the fact that a rolling pin can be used for many things. A phallic symbol is an erect statue, right? And they broke them all off and put them away in the museums because they felt that the tourists wouldn't come to Rome if they showed what Rome was really like back then, when the volcanic in Pompeii, when it just shows how sex and how power and how they mastered everything. So the reason that I've asked that question is, now I want you to use your imagination, everybody. I want you to use your imagination. That could be a lethal weapon in the wrong hands. Yeah. So don't look at my bottom. That is a lethal weapon in the wrong hands. If you don't know how to use it and you put it on a dog and press it and the dog has no idea what it's about, that can shock the dog, that can startle the dog, that can change the dog's mindset. Here we go, Frankie Howard. Have you been watching Frankie Howard again? Is that what he used to say, didn't he? So back to this again. This can be abused, can't it? Now, what else looks very similar to that and has 2 ears and vibrates? Any idea? Anybody? First one out there to come up with that question. It's so important because we're talking about science here. We're talking about science. So Sue wants to go back onto dog talk. Not, she doesn't want to do this because she's going, where is the fat boy going? Rabbit. Well done, Steve. Not the same as Carlos. Rabbit. Well done.
Well, it's dog related.
We're all getting there. Dog related, she says. We can go back onto the subject. Right, rampant rabbit. Angela Mead. Thank you, Angela. That's what I was looking for. Don't be shy, everyone. Irish footballer, rabbit. See, you all know this, don't you? Now, let's look at a rampant rabbit. It vibrates. if not used properly or carefully, it can hurt, can't it? But it can also be a stimulant, can't it? It can actually give you a buzz. Hang on. Evening, Chris. I hope I don't ruin your day when I sent you the link about the electric collar. I just thought you needed to see it. Thank you, David. I've been non-stop thinking about it ever since. Non-stop. Wouldn't know, Chris. Laugh out loud. Exactly. So what I'm saying is it was unacceptable. So I put a thing on Facebook this morning about who invented the vibrator, and literally said a few words on that on Facebook, and we had some comments. But actually my mind was racing on the grounds that it's exactly the same principle, isn't it? If you think about it, it's what people sell you. Now, so that was invented, the vibrator was invented by a doctor, but it wasn't invented for what we use it for. Jesus Christ, I'm giving away tips then, aren't I? What it's used for now. But what they used to think, scientists, they used to think you could solve people with hysteria. Is it word hysteria? Yeah. Yeah. Right. By stimulating an orgasm. Now, that was a study I really wanted to get into if I was going to be a scientist. I would do a 5-year study on that. Medical aid for hysterical women. Yes, Stephen Logan, exactly. A medical aid for women invented by a doctor. Now, what a fantastic idea to come up with something like that. And I'm going to study that for 5 years and see what reactions you get, and sit down and talk to people and say, right, what's the reaction to this? Or did they just dismiss it and go, hang on, it's not working. They're all having too much fun with it, rampant rabbit. No, the rampant rabbit wasn't invented then. So technology used to be very similar to something like that when it first started off. Quite barbaric, a bit like having a Ford Escort Mark 1. Right? Brilliant gearbox, but it weren't the best car in the world when you think about it today. Witch doctor. No, he wasn't a witch doctor. I think you've got the wrong doctor there. But I can tell you the doctor if you would like to know the doctor. So what I'm trying to get to is it in the Ann Summers live feed? Yeah, if you Google it, Peter, it's in the Ann Summers live feed. That's where I picked it up from this morning, in Ann Summers. So the whole point of it is, what I'm saying to you is, I'm saying that science is flawed until proven. And yet we go back to the scientists who we said, oh, they were fantastic scientists. Well, Sigmund Freud was involved in some kinky experimental science, wasn't he, with his daughter even. Today, that would be classed as incest, wouldn't it? Simple as that. There's nothing else. You get locked up for it. And so he should, in my opinion. You know, it's taking science to a different level. But science is not proven until someone comes up with something and everyone goes, remember that? I'll get onto that. So let's get onto those simple questions. The United States lost the Vietnam War. True or false? Simple. Did USA lose the Vietnam War? United States. Now, come on. Look at that, Lorraine. I've just joined the conversation. I guess it's about the e-collar. It's either true or false. It's as simple as that. True or false. So that was the question. The United States lost the Vietnam War. True or false? It's false. And yet that's what they told you. Next question. Charles Lindbergh was the first man to cross the Atlantic Ocean by air. True or false? His name was Lucky Lindy. Became quite a hero. But it's false. But people believe what people read. People believe what people feed. And that's exactly the same with the e-collar. That's exactly the same. Columbus was the first European to discover North America. True or false? Because what happens is we've got the technology now to look at so much stuff on the internet, but if they're feeding you bullshit on the internet like the Kennel Club are, then we've got real problems, haven't we? We've got real problems because they're lying to you. They're completely lying to people, and we've proved it. See, true, false, false, false. Yeah, false. Vikings, look. No, a Viking. See? Right. So The Wright brothers were the first to fly an aeroplane. See, this stuff that you've read, isn't it, when you were at school, isn't it? All this stuff we've read, all this stuff we believe, Paul Crocker, false. This is the whole point about the internet. You can be fed bullshit by these positive-only, fur-baby, tree-hugging idiots that believe you can train everything with love and affection, and the government believe it. The government believe big business who want to manipulate the truth for their own gain. This isn't done for the dogs. This is done for their own gain, because they want to be seen to be PC, because 80% of the people they deal with in the Kennel Club, it sells papers. Angela Mead, that's it. It sells papers. The media lie to us so much. And Epstein hung himself, true or false? Exactly, William Webb. Exactly. True or false? We'll never know, will we? But I think someone did him. That's my opinion. Who invented fire? Yeah. Let's go back to that, shall we? Who invented fire?
That was
Let's have
that was Fred Flintstone.
Fred Flintstone, Sue says. I'll tell you what, that woman's on my side. I never ever need any knowledge. I just ask Sue. Yeah, a rolling pin. That's what she needs. Yeah, a rolling pin. Alexander Bell invented the telephone, but we know he didn't. We know he didn't, do we? But we were told he did, didn't we, at school? So science tells you what they want to tell you because it's propaganda. You're right, Chris. Paper doesn't refuse ink. There you go. Exactly. And this is what I'm trying to say to you. Darwin was the first to conceive of the theory of evolution. See? Now, Darwin has been proven wrong, hasn't he? It's the same with the planets, isn't it? Vulcan. They found Vulcan. They put the planet Vulcan in this position here in the stars, and then they thought, hang on, it's not there. But they told you for thousands of years that it was there. He stole it. There you go. So you go, Stephen Logan, false. So another one. JFK's assassination was part of a larger conspiracy. Now, I'm dyslexic, so I have to be careful what I read, because I read it like this. JFK's assassination was part of a larger conspiracy. I thought, he's a pisshead. But was it? Because there's so many stories out there, isn't it? From so-called true, says Andrew Mead. No, it's false. It's false. But did one person shoot him? Was the mob involved? Was it the Russians? You know, because was it Cuban? Was it a Cuban assault? At the end of the day, there's so much stuff. And Roosevelt's New Deal ended the Depression. Was that true? No. Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. No, he didn't. But it's all things that we've heard. And that's exactly, I need to go back to school. Exactly. Mr. Crapper invented the toilet. Thank you, David. I need something positive here, because the Kennel Club are talking non-stop shit. So I think that tied in with that, didn't it? Mr. Clark invented shoes. Robert Jeffrey. Go to the back of the class and stand in the bin. Marilyn Monroe was a suspect. Yeah, she was, wasn't she? Yeah, she was, wasn't she? They reckon she was in the grassy knoll.
Yeah, but Paul Crocker got you.
Paul Crocker got me. Come on, then.
But you invented the two-piece lead.
Two-piece lead. Any friend of Spock is a friend of mine. That's what I say, Paul. I've been to the book depository, and the marksman would never have killed JFK, let alone Lee Harvey Oswald. Well, this is it, Steve Webb, isn't it? This is it. This is what the conspiracy is, and it's the same as the Twin Towers, isn't it? And all this crap. You know, did they do it to cause a freaking? No, I don't think so. I think it was some evil bastards who did it. But at the end of the day, there's conspiracy theories everywhere. But what the Kennel Club is doing is they're tapping into the majority of people. 74%, they said, the 74% of people would want a ban on the e-collar. There was a survey done, and it actually said that 74% of people weren't even interested. I think that there may have been one or two prosecutions in all the time about misuse of an e-collar for abuse, where someone's been, you know, frying a dog around the streets or something like that, trying to find it because it's run away because they've used the e-collar in the wrong way, and they're reported for animal abuse. But it's not a massive problem. It's not a massive problem. It's about education. It's about talking to people. And that's why in the week, I went onto a live feed and gave a rant, because I thought to myself, I cannot believe the hypocrisy of these bastards. This kennel club. I looked at a dog today. Its arse and balls was looking at me, flashing. And it was a pug thing. And I thought to myself, I'm not rubbishing other people's dogs, but who the freaking hell decided to breed that? It's the most ugly. I mean, it's uglier than me, and I'm ugly, right? It's ugly. You look at the back side of it. I mean, you call it, and this woman was saying, "Come on, darling." Hang on, Stephen Logan. The Welsh are really up shit creek. No decoying crows or pigeons, and collar band shooting these days are numbered. You can show that, no problem at all, Stephen Logan. Yep, and exactly. And what's happening? What's happening? The Kennel Club jumps straight onto that and say Scotland banned the e-collar, when Scotland haven't banned the e-collar at the moment. They've put it up for consultation and they're waiting for the results. But you can manipulate the results in anything. And that's exactly the same as this rolling pin. I can say that this is for cooking and cooking only, but I could be beating dogs with it. In the wrong hands, this rolling pin is lethal, the same as a car, the same as a push bike, the same as many a tool, a slip lead, a flat buckle collar. All can be abused when training dogs. But this is used for cooking and cooking only. But as soon as I waved it in the air, people thought, ooh, I wonder why he's got that. So anyway, you can have your rolling pin back, Susan. So what I'm trying to say is, you know, we talk about dog training, and I love talking about dog training. I love answering questions. But the problem is, people aren't standing up and taking on. Sorry, I spat at the screen. Thank Christ you're all away from me, because that could have been COVID freaking alert. That could have been an alarm go off. I got a freaking bit of phlegm on my face.
Now you know why.
Now you know why you wear a mask.
And also why we have sneeze screens in front of us.
That's why Sue's got
catch your frigging germs.
Yeah, that's why Sue's got a sneeze screen in front of her.
At work.
Is the answer license the collar? Or who's going to police it? Exactly, Dave. You're dead right. Who's going to police it? Who's going to say, let's police it? Let's only let people know what they're doing who's using it properly. Who's going to police it? Because if they're not studying the science behind it, and they're not studying people who have learned to use it in the way that I'm trying to show people. And don't forget, guys, I can train dogs without e-collars. Don't worry, Chris. The whiskey has killed the COVID. I don't think it has, Robert Jeffrey. I don't think it has. I'm becoming paranoid about this virus thing now. And especially when people come up to me and go, "Hello, Chris, I love your videos," and they throw their freaking arms around me. I'm like, get off.
Yeah, but as long as they don't do tongues, you're okay.
Oh my God, see what she's saying? But police, but not selling them. Police it, but not selling them. Who's going to police it? I don't. The problem is people are using them on the quiet. There's people in organisations who are not allowed to use them, but they are using them in the quiet. I blame Tony Blair. When he became Prime Minister, the politicians telling us what to do because of the Upton. We need to stand up. We need to stand up to these bullies who lie and spread shit. But the problem is, if only a few of us professional trainers, and one, I mean, you've got Jamie Penrith, who's been arguing the fact of the e-collar in the nicest of ways for a number of years, trying to educate, and it's not working, is it? And that's not Jamie's fault. Jamie just comes across so nice. I think sometimes we have to act a little bit like the French. We have to start throwing eggs, right? We have to start egging people, because we seem to get somewhere. But a cattle prob is okay. Paul Crocker, you're dead right. So what they're saying is, because Arsewipe, who was in charge of DEFRA, who tried to become Prime Minister and shit on everybody trying to get there, he had friends, and one of them friends especially was him from Cats, who did Cats, and he's got electric fence around his garden, around his property. What's the bloke who did Cats? Come on, you lot, you can help me out here. Come on, even Sue can't get this one. Honestly, Sue, as your age gets older, Sue doesn't know.
I'm only using 10% of my brain.
Only using 10% of the brain.
It's what's it called, isn't it? What's it called?
Yes, Stephen Webber. I'll tell you, Stephen. Thank Christ you're on here tonight.
Lloyd
Webber. Yeah. So because he's got cats and he said, hang on, I got cats in my garden, I got to protect them so they can't get out, and mine use electric fence that's dug in, right? They said, okay, we won't ban the electric fence because there's a number of wealthy people who've got electric fence right around their property. And so if the dog goes, or the dog or the cat goes over it, it gets as it gets towards it, it gets a buzz. But if it goes through it, it gets a shock, of a quite high shock, because it's got to work. The dog feels it or the cat feels it. They didn't look at the science of that, did they? Because if the cat or the dog sees a squirrel and runs through the electric fence zone and gets shocked, chasing the squirrel because the prey drive comes up, because you're not in the garden, but they see a squirrel and off they go, how are you going to get back? They've got to come back on the premises and take another shock. That's not going to educate them, is it? You can educate them not to go near the shock because it hurts, the same as cattle. But guess what? You don't often see cattle go through the fence, over the other side, and then try and jump back in, do you? But at the end of the day, if you've ever caught a real cattle fence, you'd know about it. He's got a few racehorses as well. Yeah, he has, hasn't he? Yeah. Yeah, he married one, didn't he? Well, he was one for years, wasn't he? Yeah, he has got a few racehorses. I've seen him at the races. Yeah, you're right. But what I'm saying is, it's funny how Michael Gove bends the rules when it suits him, doesn't it? And his mates. Not many will spend 200 plus on a tool without using it in an educated way. I don't know if that is the case, William George Webb. I don't know if that is the case. I think that's why we have to stand up and educate. And if we're professionals, that's our job to do that. And as our job to show people that that's not the correct way to use the tool, and that is the correct way to use the tool. Trained by someone as credible as yourself, and then licensed to after training would mean someone would have to. I can't see that last bit, Jonathan Wakefield. Sorry, I don't know if Sue can see it. The cheap ones banned. That stops off the issue. I think you're right, William George Webb. I think you're right. The cheap ones should be banned straight away. Made in Hong Kong by Ping Pong. 50 quid, and people are buying them on the internet. I've actually felt them, and I've watched one guy actually jump up and down on it on purpose and send me the video. When he felt my collar on his own hand, he said it's nothing like even the low stim on, because the cheap ones tend to go to 1 to 10, where that one I just showed you goes to 1 to 127. 1 to 127. Now, why, if we only use them on low stim, do we have 127? Because once you've taught the behavior on the low stim and the dog knows what it is, if the dog wants to push the boundary, you can turn it up. But normally when you do turn it up, the dog learns very, very quickly to avoid that. And then you can just tap very, very gently, and the dog gets the message straight away. And the dog comes back keen. And when I put it on Darcy, and I show people, when I put it on dogs that have been in here for customers' dogs, that have become problem dogs, it's a far kinder way of bringing those dogs back. It's a far kinder way than the way I used to do it for 25 years. 25 years. I stand up, hold my head above the parapet and say, for 25 years, if you brought me a dog that was a little bastard and ran off and chased sheep and didn't listen and has taken over, that's your fault, not the dog's fault. But then I've got to correct it. And the only way to correct it was to give negative punishment. Negative punishment. Get after the dog, give it a taste of hell, and let that dog think it ain't worth chasing that sheep, or it ain't worth not listening to you. Right? Now I can do it with an e-collar. Yes, I got to take my time and work on that dog for a week, most of the time. But if you've taught the dog the verbal cue, come here, and it knows what come here means, and it's pushing the boundary, and we work on it for a day, I can guarantee I can get your dog coming back, no problem at all, with a beautiful recall within 2 to 3 days. That doesn't mean you've fixed it forever, but you've changed the mindset of the dog, because now the dog knows you can control it from a distance. Now, I'm not a fan of using it for every and any misdemeanor the dog does. So if it goes counter surfing, or it's eating the rubbish, or it's doing this, it's doing that. So many people will use it for everything. The stop, the recall, the turn. It's down to each individual. But as a dog trainer and a gun dog trainer, I will show you how to use it in a fantastic way, and it's a wonderful tool. And then I've had to put my head above the parapet and talk about this, and have the idiots out there saying, well, if you need an e-collar, you can't train a freaking dog. Because I've trained hundreds of dogs in my time since I was a kid, and not one of them needed an e-collar. Load of bollocks. Load of bollocks. False lies, propaganda, dreamers, people only using 2% of their brain. Right, simple as that. Most of the quality collars come from the States, so unsure if kite marks would work, but great suggestion. Chris, do e-collars have to have a kite mark on them to meet the standard, or can anyone make these products and sell them? Do you know what, Robert Jeffrey? I don't know, but they're made all over the place, aren't they? I've actually seen them for less than 30 quid on the internet. I've seen them for less than 30 quid. It's important because if it's wet outside and your dog's going to get off the doctorate collar you advertised me to get has been very good once. Had the knowledge on how to use it, nearly as good as my really clean dummy launcher. Honestly, Sean, honestly. Got some more videos coming up with Sean. Like there's Sean on here, and he came here, and he's coming again next month. That's the keenness of this guy. He puts the time in. He wants to get the dog right. He's a very busy man. We all want quick fixes, but I don't do quick fixes here. I change mindsets of dogs, but I don't beast a dog till it's so suppressed and switches itself off that it doesn't want to move, it doesn't want to do anything. I like a dog with drive and desire, and that's what I'm passionate about. That you have a dog with drive and desire, but you have a dog that you can control. Now, like I keep saying to you, if they ban the e-collar, is it going to affect my business? Yes, it's going to affect my business, because guess what? We can't show you racing out after a dog, grabbing it by the scruff and dragging it back to the point the dog says that's not worth doing that again because of the consequences.
Yeah, but that's like Angela Mead said about you saying that some people say, oh, you don't need an e-collar. And she said, no, but they probably gave the dog a good kicking instead. You know?
But they probably gave the dog good kicking instead. That's been done for thousands of years as well, Angela. That's not the way to train a dog. You don't train a dog by beating a dog up. You don't train a dog. And I will say that openly. And people, I will get the fluffies going, yeah, but we've seen videos of you disciplining dogs. Yes, I discipline dogs. I put my head above the parapet and I agree. And I say, and I show that I discipline dogs. I walk tall. I walk tall because I know I can get results. And what I'm saying is, don't feed people bullshit if you can't get the results. Put up the videos of the dogs that you've positively only trained through positive methods to stop them chasing sheep and stop them chasing cattle. What are you going to do? You're going to take 3 years, but you can stop a dog chasing dead easy, can't you? Keep it on a lead. Keep it on a lead. But is that training, or is that just stopping the behavior because you've kept the dog on a lead? Don't take the dog on the moors. But we want the dogs to have freedom. We want the dogs to be able to open up. That was the important point of putting that video up with Dougie. It was important to show you the Labrador and Dougie up on the moor, having fun, enjoying life. Restraining rather than training. Exactly. A lead is a prison sentence for a dog. Exactly. You want to be able to take the lead off the dog. Now in America, the rules are different, aren't they? Most dogs have to stay on leads, on leads. But over here, we're known for taking our dogs off the leads and giving them freedom. That's avoiding the behavior. Denver Skinny, you're right. That's what I'm saying. My videos are there as educational for people. Yes, I have a laugh. I like to keep it fun. I like to keep everybody entertained at the same time. I'm a bit of a comedian. Well, I think I am to a certain extent. I do make people laugh sometimes with my craziness. But at the end of the day, I want this to be educational. And I'm willing to stand up and show people in public, on film, how I get a reaction from a dog with an e-collar by doing it the way I do it. Have I invented it? No. Larry Crone has spent years and years and years publicizing and promoting the e-collar in the way he promotes it. He's called the e-collar man. He doesn't want to be called the e-collar man because he trains dogs. But at the end of the day, if you only talk about e-collar and you say you train every dog on an e-collar, then you're going to get that label to a certain extent. I don't want that label, but it's in my toolbox, and it's a very serious tool that you can, it's a get out of jail card, that you can change your behavior, how to stop dog chasing sheep without an e-collar, Richard Gere, how stop dog chasers or kill sheep without e-collar. You've got to get after it, and you've got to give it some pain, and you've got to give it a negative, and then you're going to get, oh, did you hear what he said? You've got to give it pain. Pain works. You avoid pain, and it works. Now, what's better? The dog being put down, shot by a farmer, or the dog kills 6 sheep Is that acceptable? Or the sheep loses its lamb because it's been chased around the fields for hours on end before somebody can get hold of the dog? What's more humane? Give that dog a taste of hell and solve that problem. Oh, society doesn't want that anymore, do they? You can't have that anymore. Oh, that's not dog training, that's abuse. I know it would not get the dog to yelp. I don't know what you're saying, Paul, there. Sorry. A leader to prisoners dog centres. I know it would not get the dog to yelp. What do you mean you'd know it would not get the dog to yelp? Why would there be a problem if the dog did yelp? If it was chasing sheep flat out and you had to give it what we call an act of God, you had to give it one real harsh blast of the e-collar to stop that behavior. Because if you go in low and the dog's chasing sheep and you keep giving it low and low, the dog will run through it and still chase the sheep. But what we do, we educate the dog first. We teach the dog what the e-collar means. The e-collar only strengthens the behavior of what we teach. It overlaps and strengthens it. It's old school or the e-collar with stock training. Let's see the Kennel show different way. Exactly, Dave. You're dead right. Good evening, Pen. How are you? You're dead right. So let's be honest about it. Don't let's lie about it. 127 on that collar, right? You can stop a dog in his tracks on that collar. If he yelps, is that abuse? But if you put a collar on a dog that's never had a collar on and you turn it up 127, that is total abuse. Total abuse. Because the dog's not going to know where it come from other than a bolt of lightning from nowhere. And I don't think dogs are religious. I don't think he thinks, shit, God did that. But so many people do believe in God, don't they? And they follow the Bible and they read everything in the Bible and believe everything in the Bible, the same as science. And that's exactly the same scenario. But I can't go there, can I, with religion? Jesus Christ, religion's caused more wars than freaking anything, isn't there? So don't let's go there with religion. That's what that was what my remark was about, Chris. Paul Crocker. But I don't know, Paul, because I can only read what was it was in response to DEFRA's report that's showing DEFRA how use it in the place in the place. But the point is, DEFRA said that as soon as they put the collar on the dogs were salivating, the dogs were showing stress, the dogs were not happy. Hang on, which trainers did it? Because if I was there, I'd go, I'm not putting a freaking collar on the dog and frying it at 30 or 40. And they said, well, if you read the report, and I read the report, it said that some people said this is the level the dog works on. We've tested it on the dog. And then they tried to see what the dog was like. And that some dogs didn't chase and some dogs did chase. Hang on. What about the positive only dogs? Did they chase? Where was the report about the positive only dogs that were sheep chasers? Because guess what? They haven't got enough time in the world to study them bastards. Because you know why? Because you don't solve the problem by throwing freaking treats at the dog. Positive and positive only is not going to stop sheep chasing once it chased sheep. You might be able to lure it if you've got it on a lead and you're keeping it with you with food, but you take that off with a real sheep chaser, and that's what we have to deal with. We have to deal with dogs that are really very badly behaved. They've taken over. They've got no desire to want to please the owner. There's no respect. There's no leadership, and there's a breakdown in the communication. And guess what? You're going to throw an e-collar on the dog and fry it for science. That's exactly the same old shit about what they're saying about the vibrator. When the vibrator was first used, it was invented by a doctor because he didn't want to get an infection on his hands, and he wanted to. He was fed up with getting smelly hands. And at the end of the day, look how the vibrator has moved forward now. And you ask these girls who go into Ann Summers now.
There's a lot of women out there be going, hail that man.
Hail that man! Hail the vibrator! See what Sue said? She's making me feel very vulnerable now. Hail that man!
But
honestly, but there's always a but with Sue.
Talking about
a but. Don't be rude. Don't be rude, you lot. A but. Don't be rude. Keep it clean.
You were talking about the e-collar being banned and blah blah blah, and in Wales it's like whatever, it's being banned or whatever. And I think David Jones got it spot on, and he said,
David Jones, go for it.
The Welsh minister who passed this and other anti-shooting, anti-countryside ways went against the results of a consultation set up by her party, we have no chance.
Exactly.
That is it.
Spot on.
Their literally ideology, their opinion. I'm in power. Ban it.
But we do have a chance of having it turned round. Look at the tail docking scenario in Scotland. That got turned round by clever debate, proof of the damage it did to tails, and it was turned round. It's pathetic, isn't it, that you can't do these things. What we need to do what the French do. We need to get our pitchforks out and start freaking protesting the way the French do. Then people listen to them, don't they? But you could say, well, no, because look at Macron and look what he's doing with the French people on the streets. But at the end of the day, without protest, they don't listen. It seems to listen when protest. Have you seen these refugees? They've come into Derby, my hometown, Derby. They've been moved to Derby from Dover. They've been given refuge. They've been given somewhere safe because they claim the victim. They say that they're moving away from France because they're under pressure of life and death. Well, they've gone through how many countries to get there? On the way, they should have just handed themselves in and told them that. But they've managed to get across here. And now they're protesting because they're not getting the conditions they want. They're not getting the conditions they want in Derby. They've heard that other guys from Dover are getting 5-star hotels. The world's gone mad. The world's gone absolutely frigging mad. I swear to you, it's gone absolutely mad. And it's like the dog world. It's absolutely mad. It's the same as this shit with the puppy sales. Did you see that crappy vet who always gets shoved on? Who's another gay vet, right? And I'm nothing against gay people, but this guy sells himself every time without fail. He's no different than that Robert Elaine. They just wheel him on when they want some freaking something said on television. And what did he say? Anybody who's selling puppies, anybody who is selling puppies and they've not been injected, don't buy them from them because they're scamming people. They're supposed to have all their injections. Hang on. When are you supposed to inject these puppies? Are you supposed to take these puppies in at 6 weeks old and inject them? Because your first injection, you've got to have. I don't even like doing it at 8 weeks. I like doing it at 12 weeks because it's causing problems with some pups. It's the same as the microchips. The microchips are moving around the puppy and they're finding the microchip. They put the microchip in there and they're finding it down the back or down the arm because it's moving around as the puppy develops. Are they telling you all this shit? No, because it's all to do with this, isn't it? Lolly, right? So you're telling me that most people buy puppies at 8 weeks old. Why do they have them at 8 weeks old? Because it's an important stage in their training and development. If I've got a puppy and I sell it to you at 12 weeks old or 14 weeks old, then you've done really well because I've had to nurture that pup and I know how to get the best out of it in those early development stages of socialization, playing the ball game. So you get a better pup from me because I put the time in because I know what I'm doing. What I'm saying is you buy your pups. Most people buy pups at 8 weeks old. That vet is telling everybody on national TV, anybody who's selling puppies without inoculations are con artists and you shouldn't be buying from them. You should be reporting them to the Kennel Club. What a shit. What an arsehole. What an arse wipe. Right? I don't care if he's gay, straight, or but he turns up in pink freaking shirt, and that's what they like these days on national TV, innit? If you're hunchback, pink, or you're coloured, then you get certain preference over everybody else. I'm getting fed up with it. Chris Upton's getting fed up with it. Speaks his mind, though, doesn't he? Get himself in trouble one day. They find him shot on the grassy knoll. They might take me out in my mule. Well, you must right say he's just a stubborn sod. Leave him. Let him. He ain't got long left anyway. Well said, Chris. Everyone thinks the same. Everyone thinks the same, but no one's willing to stand up and say anything. If we stood up to Gold and protested, when we went to they're trying to ban the e-collar, and we went to London and we went on the march. I said we need to be a little bit sort of noisy. We need to go into DEFRA and we need to walk in past the security and say we want to speak to a minister. We've come all this way. Why can't we speak to a minister? Because is microchip at 8 weeks? Because Kennel Club said it has to be done and done. I'll tell you what, Richard Gere.
It's microchip at 8 because Kennel Club said it has to be done and law, etc. So he's saying has it be done at 8 weeks because the Kennel Club said.
Well, if you're going to do your puppy at 8 weeks old, you're not allowed to take it out for 2 weeks.
No, microchip.
Oh, sorry, microchip. No, you can do. I've seen people doing microchip. You don't even have to be a vet to do a microchip. It's one of them things, isn't it? You can get anybody. Sorry, Richard. Anyone can do a microchip. So you're getting people doing microchips at 6 weeks of age, and they're traveling around the dog's body. And the day is, 2 days before you pick the dog up, the puppy from me, I go to the vets on purpose, because that's the latest I can have the microchip put into the dog at 8 weeks of age. Would I rather do it at 10 weeks and keep the pup until it's 10 weeks of age? Yes. But people pick up pups at 8 weeks of age. You shouldn't be having pups any sooner, but people do sell them sooner to get them up, especially puppy farms. Can't get rid of them fast enough, or the paperwork will follow. Before you know it, your pup's only 6 weeks old, because that's when the time it starts to shit and everything. That's the time when you have to put all the time in cleaning it and keeping it clean. And so when you present it to the owner, it looks a nice, well, happy pup, clean and treated. This is it. No paperwork. Are we better off overriding the Kennel Club and saying, sod you, we're gonna just breed for the sake of breeding, and we're not going to use paperwork? Well, I was strongly against a lot of the things the Kennel Club do, but without the Kennel Club, it would be the Wild Wild West. But it's becoming the Wild Wild West because you can't even believe the Kennel Club. It's like having a sheriff in the town, and he's bent. He's manipulated by big power. And that's exactly what it's down to. Big money. Organizations that back the Kennel Club say, we won't back you if you don't back us. It's the same as they try and get BASC involved. And Bast stood back and said, hang on, we don't want to make no comment about that, because they had a big fallout with me, didn't they? Because I said we use discipline, and they did a big spread about me and tried to ruin my business and ruin my name. And I stood up to it, and the shooting people came to my aid. The genuine shooting people come to my aid and said, don't be stupid. The guy wasn't beating the dog. The guy was disciplining the dog. Dogs need discipline. You know, get real. But the problem is, BASC came under two umbrellas. All the scurries is a lot of money at these country fairs. A lot of money. People pay mega money to run their dogs in scurries, whether they're good or bad. They just love throwing money at the dogs and watching them race, and it's fun. So they didn't want to upset the fluffies, did they? So they kept the fluffies on their side, but they didn't want to upset the shooting people, because that was important. So they sat on the fence. DEFRA sat on the fence because that's what suited them. Not DEFRA, BASC. But DEFRA is manipulated by the government and the people in government who are doing favors for each other. And so the rules get manipulated to suit them. And that research that they did, going back to 2014, they keep bringing it up. And the KC, the Kennel Club, keeps saying 74% of people don't like the e-collar and want it banned. 74% of people couldn't be asked about the e-collar, because if you ask them, they have no idea whether it works or it doesn't work, whether it's a good tool or a bad tool. It's how you feed the propaganda. That's exactly what I was trying to say to everyone while we came on here, to ask you those questions: true or false, true or false, because you're totally misled. If positive only training was the way to go, I'd have no business. I wouldn't have no business, because every dog wouldn't need to come to me, would it? It takes someone with some trust in it to send a dog to me that I tell you I use discipline. And yet, do we get results by using discipline? Of course we do. Do you get results by suppressing the dog to the point that the dog doesn't want to leave your side? Yes, but you can see it. The video doesn't lie. You can see it. We're not looking to suppress the dogs in the gun dog world. We're looking to have dogs that love to play the game, love to hunt, love to listen to you. Listen to this one. Let's see if I can find it for you. This is what I've had. This is what I've had. No, not that one. Not that one. Not that one. I don't know if I can find it. I had a guy contact me, and he says, listen, my dog's two years old, and I want to take it on a shoot this year, and I've trained it. But I won't mention the guy's name, because I don't want to rubbish anybody in a nasty way, but it just shows the education behind these people when it comes to who they've trained with and who they've listened to. Whether he's a youngster or whether he's an older person, I can't tell you until I looked into it. But he said to me, Chris, I've got this dog, and he was chasing deer and he was chasing rabbits, and he wouldn't listen. But now, for 2 years, he wouldn't listen. But now I've trained him. I want to take him on a shoot. Will he not listen to me on the shoot, or will he listen to me on the shoot? And I said, well, sorry, but I've not seen your dog, and it all depends on how well you've trained it. He said, I was told that once you've let a dog chase for 2 years non-stop, that dog's going to take some holding back. I said, yes, they're right. That will be a double handful, unless you've trained it right. But if you put your training into it right and you've broken it down in sequences, and that's what this is all about. It's about breaking it down into sequences. So we've got that vet on national TV, and he was talking about the price of puppies, the people ripping people off with the price of puppies. And it was a good subject to talk about, but get someone on there who knows what they're talking about. Don't wheel out that biased vet that hasn't got a freaking clue, because why would he be telling people that you shouldn't be buying dogs off breeders unless they've been fully vaccinated? And if they've not been fully vaccinated, you should report them to the authorities. What an idiot. What an idiot. How many people have bought dogs at 8 weeks old and then had to go and take them to have injections?
Yeah, but then their vet checks them over and they make sure that they bought a good one, don't they?
Exactly. My vet, when I take them up to the vet at 8 weeks of age, like literally 2 days before they're 8 weeks of age, before they go, and we have the microchip put in, because I want to do it as late as possible. Then the skin of me, exactly. Then what happens is the vet checks them over. It doesn't check them at 4 days old when they dock them. They don't. The vet doesn't check them then, other than dew claws, and just checks them over generally. At 8 weeks, you can see the puppy and the development of the puppy. They check the heart. They check a number of things. They check the functions, the puppy's functioning properly, eyes healthy, look into the ears. They look at everything on that puppy. They check the heart and they give it a bill of good health. Now, if the vet picks something up, I can't sell that pup unless I lie. But the vet technically has got to write something on the top of the pedigree or the form, not the pedigree, but on the top of the when she gives you the paperwork for the puppies for ID chip, she will write something on there like the dog's got only 3 toes, or vice versa, or whatever they see, right? Or the dog's got heart problem, in their opinion, it needs to come back in a few weeks, or whatever the situation is. And you have to be honest to the public. You have to be honest. So sometimes you've got to hold that pup back and give it time. So say only 1 ball's dropped, the other one may drop, but guess what? You have to be honest. He only got 1 ball at the moment. Say that is husbandry. That is animal welfare. That is, you take your dog to the vet. A decent vet looks over that dog when they microchip it. They don't just microchip it, give it back to you and say, sell it. I'm not even looking at it. Good luck. Then when you buy it at 8 weeks of age, you take it to the vets. And I say to most people, if you've got a home environment and you can keep the dog there to 10 weeks and not have it out with other dogs, and then you can have the inoculations, you stand a better chance of having less problems. And so I like to inoculate at 10 to 12 weeks. Now, I can do that because I've got the facilities. Not everyone can. So some people go, no, I'm going to the vet tomorrow. We got the vet booked already. That's up to them. It's your dog. You've bought it. Now, the vets will jab the dog, and then 2 weeks later, you've got to go back. So technically, no one should be selling dogs in this country until dogs have had their jabs, this vet says, this national vet says. He's a pillock. He's an absolute pillock. He hasn't got a freaking clue. All creatures, great and small vet, no chance. Not a Yorkshire vet, not a vet with any idea. That we've lost that these days. We've got glorified film stars walk around with pink freaking shirts on, with poodles, poodles. Yeah, poodles. Anyway, I can't go there because then I'll get in trouble, won't I? I'll get in trouble. And I'm not anti-phobic, anti what's name, or anti this or anti that. I ain't got no antis left. I say everyone to their own, but guess what? Don't mislead people on the TV. That's exactly what that Robert Elaine does. You see him with that caprice in the video where he goes around there training. He's like this, right? He's like a googling kid in love with an actress or film star, whatever she is, or model, whatever she is. And at the end of the day, he's training these dogs, and he's saying very, very little, and she's screaming at these dogs, and I'm thinking, tell her to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but I
tell her to shut up. You're creating hysteria with the dogs. She's the person who they invented the rampant rabbit for. Going back to rampant rabbit, I knew we'd get there eventually. And that's what she should be doing. And the whole TV thing was rubbish. She's a nobody. She's a was she a model, wasn't she? She was a model. But they bring it in, and here's Caprice, and here's Robert. And Robert says, "Whoa, isn't that wonderful? We sorted that dog out within 5 minutes how to sit by following the nose with the food." Did you see the vet? Did you see the vet yesterday on the television with real problem dogs or something? The one with the cravat. Did you see him? He's using discipline, wasn't he? He got so much shit for using discipline. It's unbelievable. But discipline works. But it's what you show, isn't it? You can only show whatever they want to see. If you're keeping pups until 12 weeks because of the jabs, prices will go even higher. Exactly, David. Exactly. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. May void insurance in future. Richard, so Richard says something about. Anyway, I'm on a ramble. I'm rambling tonight, aren't I? Rambling.
Can you just answer a question for Richard Garriock? He's first time in tonight, and he says, Chris, my 10-day-old lab pups, do I worm them at 2 weeks or 4 weeks? I've been told both.
Every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks for the first 6 months. You use your wormer. Now, the thing is, it all depends as well what wormer you're using, because some wormers last longer. So there you've got a problem, because technically, as a dog trainer, I don't want to give you bad advice. Now, if you're using Panacure or Drontal, puppy wormer, liquid wormer, then you can give it every 2 weeks. And that's what we do with our puppies here. But if you're given a tablet form that lasts 4 months or 3 months, you've got to listen to your vet. And that's why we have vets. And that's why you're supposed to listen to the people who know what they're talking about. Vets should not be telling you how to train dogs. Vets become dog behaviorists because it's all about the money. I'm a vet, so I can put my vet title alongside my 6-week course of I'm a dog behaviorist or an animal behaviorist, because I've studied dogs. I've studied dogs, but I've also studied women. Does that make me an expert on women? No, because you know what they say? Never try and understand what a woman is thinking. They don't do it very often. Not my words. Camelot, Merlin, King Arthur. Was he real? Was King Arthur real? Everywhere you bloody go. If you go up to Bath, innit? King Arthur was buried here. Hey, Tintagel freaking owning that one, aren't they? Without King Arthur at Tintagel, the place would be a dive, wouldn't it? But at the end of the day, it's what you believe in it. It's what you sold. I've just seen the word snowflake. I've got to go there. Too many do-gooders and snowflakes. They're all very good at getting their way. Yeah, but that's because you don't stand up against them. There's nothing finer than putting a snowflake in their place. Let me just tell you a few simple quotes that work without fail. How to win friends and influence people, they say, don't they? Here we go. When I know my page is being watched, I post things on purpose just to ruffle their feathers. How about that? Says no one is harder on me than me. So take your judgment and shove it up your arse. Because I question what I do. I'm not the most PC person in the world, as you all know. But I speak my mind. I say the way I see it. And I do my best to help people. We have a snowflake in the house, Stephen Logan. Where's this then? Amen. No, that's not. Come on, Stephen.
No, you're talking about women's opinion. I don't think very often. So you like,
No, I didn't say it. It was Merlin told King Arthur. Now, Merlin was a wizard. So come on, Pen. You've got to behave yourself here. You've got to behave yourself. You can't blame me. You can't blame the messenger. Hi, Chris. How can I order a squirrel skin toy from you? Or is it from someone in the group? Adam, we do quizzes every now and again, and I was going to do a quiz tonight because I was going to ask a few questions and see if anybody could answer them, and we're going to give a squirrel skin for a prize. But it didn't seem to go in that direction for some reason. It seemed to head off in a very strange direction tonight. We've not really done much dog training, but we've talked about the psychology and the lies and the falsehoods. It's the same as saying, you know, you can teach a dog to sit without discipline. Of course you can teach a dog to sit without discipline. Of course you can. But wait till the real temptation steps up. You had rabbits on your mind. That's it, Steve. That's it. And one of the things I learned years and years ago, because I've always been self-employed, is one of the and I was in the music business, and I used to sell DVDs and videos and all that. One of the biggest sellers, well, the biggest sellers was the top 5 is sex, violence, right? Now, sex and violence. Well, what are we talking about tonight? Violence, people reckon, using an e-collar, it's violent. That's not acceptable. No, it's not violent, is it? It's not violent. It's an evil tool if used wrong. But so is a slip lead. So is a flat buckled collar. And sex. We all live on sex, don't we? Talking about rampant rabbits. May have done it. Eh? Bought one?
No, you. Ranting tonight. Talking about rampant rabbits may have done it.
I'll tell you. I mean, my head's been fried all week. Honestly, I've had a right week this week. Everything I've tried to do, my battle bus is supposed to be painted in camouflage. Right? The guy was supposed to be coming Monday. Beautiful day Monday. He said, the weather's not very good. I can't make it today. I'll do it Wednesday. I looked at the weather forecast. It said it's going to be atrocious Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I said, look, mate, not being funny. It's saying it's great today, great tomorrow, and not so good on Wednesday afternoon. Well, I'm looking at a different weather forecast. Okay. Wakes me up at 7 o'clock in the morning to come out and have a look at the freaking bus. He said, I can't do it now. I'll do it Sunday when the weather's getting better. Then I get somebody out with a mule, and they say, we come out to look at the mule because the exhaust has burnt a freaking patch on the back of the mule where we put the back flap down. And so they said, you have to sign this waiver form from Kawasaki. They'll give you a new back piece for the mule, but you have to sign it as a goodwill gesture. Well, it's a design fault. It's a design fault. If you can't leave the butt down on the back of the mule and it burns a freaking hole in the back of the mule, it's a design fault. But I got to sign a disclaimer. They'll give me a new butt end, but that's it. Butts again, Sue said. Honestly, this. I told you, everything goes back to sex and violence. I nearly knocked her out today. She took me into town. Into BMW to have a frigging brake fluid changed. That's the cleanest garages I've ever seen. I've never seen a dirty mechanic in BMW in all of my life. Thank you, Stephen Logan. A local seller has just sold a litter of pups for over £2,000 each. Brother and sister mating. Jesus Christ. I feel it's very disgraceful. It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. And do you know what? It's this internet, isn't it? Because they've got on the bandwagon and they can put pretty pictures up, can't they? And they can dress these puppies up and they can put clothes on them and then they can give them food and they can give them this. And this is what's happening, isn't it? This is what's happening. I've had a bad week too. I got caught sitting in the dog in the dog's place and was asked to move. Hey, I heard about that, Diz. I heard about that. That's disgraceful. I think you should tell everyone about that story. Honestly think you should tell everyone about that story. I couldn't stop laughing. Me and Sue were laughing their head off. Shall I tell the story for you, Pen? Or not? No, I won't, because you didn't say tell people the story. You tell people the story. So
yes, she said yes.
Yeah, so Pen says she went round a person's house and she was going to talk about the dog being a problem dog or whatever, babysitting, dog walking, not dog whispering, dog sitting. And she went and sat down on the sofa or on a chair, and she said, not that chair, that's the dog's chair. And Pen said something to the lady, and the lady carried on. So no, I mean it, that's the dog's chair. So Pen had to get up and move to another chair because that was the dog's chair. What is the world coming to? What is this world coming to?
Well, it's like you said, she needs to learn her place.
And I mean, I was so honest to Pen, and I do like the fact that she doesn't take offence easy. I said it's glad that you've learned to learn your place in society, because at the end of the day, we've given into these young ladies too much, haven't we? I mean, they used to have to kneel in front of us and do as they're told. Now they try and tell us what to do. I mean, when she came here, she was honestly, she was hard work, you know. I mean, it's hard enough with Sue, you know. It's hard enough with Sue, but having Pen here as well, it was terrible. It was terrible. I was being bullied. I was being bullied, and if I wasn't emotionally strong, honestly, I could have folded. I could have folded there and then on the videos.
Yeah, right.
Good thinks highly of the dog. Exactly. I mean, not being funny. If you had Pen in your house and she sat on the dog's chair, would you honestly say, "Get off that chair? That's the dog"? Wait till if she ever comes here again, we're gonna have a dog box for her. We're gonna have you get in the box. Get in the box. Sit on the mat. Sit on the mat, Pen. Sit on the mat and beg. You're not having your food till you beg, right? And do you know what? That's the crazy thing in the world, isn't it? You know, no, that's the dog's bed. Someone comes into your house. The language was quite colourful when Penny was there. Yeah, it was, and she's such a lovely lady, isn't she? She is such a lovely lady. Straight talking. She says it the way she sees it, and I'd rather deal with them sort of people all day long. And she wrote something the other day, and I thought the same. She said, if you're having to run people down all the time, then you should perhaps stop and think, or something like that. And I thought, yeah, it's so true, because society, live and let live a little bit, eh? Live and let live. Why can't we just live and let live instead of be so judgmental with everything anyone does? All these idiots. I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not going in shops. I won't go in the shops. Well, don't go in the fucking shop. I don't care. Don't wear the mask. Stay at home. I wear a mask and go in the shop. Why? Because I want to be seen to be being safe for other people as well. Whether it works or whether it doesn't work, we can argue that over the science, can't we? Now, you're told you can catch something if you don't use a new mask. What is it? Legionnaire's disease, isn't it?
Every 4 hours.
Every 4 hours, you're supposed to change your mask. Honestly, Sue's had the same old face for years. For years. She ain't changing no mask. I like the wrinkles. Shopping in a mask with your rolling pin, laugh out loud. Yeah, or a fag butt in your mouth on fire. Anyway, so I've just tried to make it a little bit more friendly tonight. I don't even change my knickers that often. Exactly. Same here. Some of us sweat and some of us don't.
Well, Julianne Charter said,
James O'Shea, getting a new Springer pup next week. How long should I keep it in before getting
used to outside kennels?
Used to outside kennels. One of the things that James, I like to put them straight into outside kennels and get them used to the outside kennels, because if you bring them inside and they love inside, you're going to have problems when you try and push them outside. People have got this thing about it's got to be draft free. It's got to be draft free. It's got to be if it's obviously wintertime, it's got to be warm for that dog. And I always try and put a radio on, but I let the dog get used to it. If the dog has been in kennels, if you buy it from a gun dog person, a lot of those dogs will have been in kennels and will cope with kennel life no problem. Being separated from their siblings, that can be a problem for a day or two, but as long as you go out there and condition the dog in between, as long as you put the dog back in the kennel, the dog will realize that that's life, kennelled life. If you pamper it, bring it inside, give it everything it wants, and then think, right, it's now 7 months old, I'm going to start putting it out in the kennel, you could really have a problem, and the dog won't settle in a kennel for months. Some dogs do, some dogs don't, but at the end of the day, I would do it the way that I say. Put the dog in the kennel straight away.
Julianne Charter says, Leo the Spaniel says, thank you, Uncle Chris, for giving my freaking owner the tools to train me to a high standard.
That's what it's all about. It's about training the dogs to a high standard and me giving you the tools, showing you what to use, when to use it. And that's what I felt that wasn't out there. You know, when I started training dogs, I had some wonderful mentors that were fantastic, but they were far few between. There was more Billy bullshitters, Willy Wonka chocolate factory fucking people. Oh, you don't train a dog like that. How do you train a dog then? Oh, go and learn it. You're very lucky you've got such a good dog at such an early stage in your trialing career. Was it a good dog or was it well trained? because I went out and learned how to train dogs. Yes, I was successful when I first got into competition. Does that make you a big head? I think it can do if you let the power go to your head. But I didn't. I was so hungry to learn and so hungry to help other people who were struggling. I reached out and started helping people in the trial world who were struggling, and I brought those people on to winning competition standard, and they were winning competition, picking up awards, winning, all because of how I showed them. And I was shown by people who saw that I had a good understanding of reading a dog and asking the right questions. Some people don't like you asking questions because it makes them vulnerable. It makes them gullible for what they really are. Because exactly what Sue said as she's cleaning her nails with a freaking nail file in the background. She's filing her nails in the background. Honestly, I just have to work in all this environment. And what I'm saying is, she says that they didn't have an idea, and that's what they don't have the answers, because they don't have the answers. A lot of these people, because a lot of these people have bought dogs in and wormed their way up the ladder of success on the grounds that arse licking, as simple as that. And that, call it crude, call it what you like, but that's exactly brown nosing. That's what they've done, a lot of these people. And then when you ask them questions and they couldn't answer a question to save their life, you then realize that there's only a certain amount of people that pass on that knowledge and understanding freely or in a nice, honest way to help other people. And I did that for over 15 years. I did it for 15 years, helping people. I used to take the training classes for the Gundog clubs, and I didn't used to charge them. I used to just take my petrol money, and I used to travel 30 mile there and 30 mile back. And I used to spend all evening there on a Wednesday, and I had 30 or 40 people training on a regular basis, and we got those people to a very good standard. And those people now are panel judges.
Yeah, and what did they do?
And what did they do?
They gave you the finger.
They gave me the finger. But as Gloria Gaynor said, I will survive. As long as I've got Weetabix.
As Sue said, fuck the bitches.
She's getting worse, everyone, isn't she? She's been hanging around with that Dizzy Lizzie. She's been hanging around with Dizzy Lizzie, and the language coming from my wife now is absolutely disgraceful. I blame you. I blame you, Pen. I blame you. Oh, she's put freaking arms up and thumbs and... Yeah. Oh, look at that bruised arm there. Anyway, I think we've had long enough, don't you? I must have bored you all silly. You've only got 50 people in here. I think we had 127 at one point. Liar. We never had freaking 127. You liar. True or false? Right? 23 thumbs up. You Barcelonian bargainers. All I've done is sat here all night talking to you, entertaining you for free. Entertaining you for free. And what happens? What happens? 23 thumbs up. 25. 2 of you felt guilty. See? How to pull on the heartstrings.
I'll give you a thumbs up when
I should have brought that puppy from the kennel. Go and get the puppy from the kennel. I'll hold it there and put the starting pistol next to its head and say, if you don't give me thumbs up, the dog's going to get it. That's what the RSPCA did in an advert. If you don't give us money for charity, the dog's going to get the gun, the bullet. Disgraceful advertising, isn't it? Disgraceful advertising. How can you live with that? A good, healthy dog get put down, or people get bullied into giving donations, is a disgrace, isn't it? And that's the way society has gone, isn't it? I remember advertising that you had 127. I remember advertising that you had 127. Thanks, Paul. How about that, eh? Anyway, so I'd just like to finish off by saying bollocks to a lot of you, and I just hope you enjoyed this evening. And it was one of them evenings where Chris Upton just waffled and rambled on with what he wanted to ramble on. And who can tell me what you use a rolling pin for? There you go. There will be pictures and videos going up this week of me in my new shooting attire with my new dog box and my new gun cabinet and my toolbox. I've got a new toolbox, and we'll be opening the toolbox and letting you all have a look into the toolbox. And yes, there is a rampant rabbit in there. And I will show you how to use a rampant rabbit as part and parcel of getting a dog used to a flapping bird, right? Using vibration and the rampant rabbit that glows in the dark. We will be using that next week, and Ray doesn't make them, so please don't ring Ray. But what's that shop that Penn likes to go into?
Anne Summers?
No, not Anne Summers. Don't be rude. Penn? Victoria's Secrets.
Oh yeah, that was the one.
Victoria's Secrets. That's where we get them from, Victoria's Secrets. So we'll have to talk more about that. Good night, everyone. Bollocks you all. Agent Provocateur. Thank you. Yes, that's what I think I am. Yes. Honestly, they'll find me dead one morning. They'll come on for a live feed on a Wednesday and find me dead on the sofa. I've been shot through the window. Okay, good night, and sorry for being a fool this evening. Sometimes I'm in the right mood, and sometimes I'm not.
Because you've got to blame David Bold or whatever he's called for that.
David Boldstone, that's your freaking fault. Winding me up about the bloody Kennel Club. Thank you very much. It's been on my mind all week. Lovely honey is cheaper. Love honey is cheaper. Stop it, honestly.
Yeah, it was you, David. It was definitely you.
Definitely your fault, David. Good night. I'm Chris Upton signing off. Bollocks to the lot of you. Won't go now. It won't end. We're here all night. 27 thumbs up. End stream. Oh, that's it. It ended it.